Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee Talk. I am thrilled today to be here sitting with Miss Camden Harlan. And I met Camden a few months back in April at this very incredible workshop that we're going to talk about called the Bridge Experience. But we're going to dive right in. And before we officially, you share, all about your magic and all that you do, Camden, very important question. Obviously, this is called Coffee Talk. Coffee is like a topic very near and dear to my heart. But do you drink coffee? And have you ever had like the best one has been like a moment where you had that first sip or that cup of coffee where it's like, oh, this is just magic right here.
Yeah, I actually don't drink coffee on a regular basis. I do love the taste of coffee, though. I
Mm.
love the taste of it and I love the smell of it, but I personally don't drink it. I've found that it's not supported to my body on a daily basis. However, in the winter when it's like really cold, I live in the Midwest right now. And so snow is beautiful. And if I don't have to drive in it,
Mm.
please. But I will drink it on those cold days where it's like cold enough that I can be out or warm enough that I can be outside enjoying the snow and not so cold that I am gonna freeze my freeze my
Yeah.
fingers off being out there. And I have a memory just seared into my mind of I believe it was last winter, and it might have been 2 winters ago now, that my mom and I were just sitting outside watching the snow, and we were on the porch, and we both had a very hot coffee. We were just sitting there, really not saying anything, but just
I love
both
that
admiring nature. Yeah, we both love nature so much, so that's, like, one of those memories that it's, like, makes the heart warm.
connective experience. I love that. I
Yes.
love that.
Yeah.
And what's that like, Camden, to get up and not need any sort of caffeination? Man,
Yeah, that has not always
what
that's
is
not always
that
been
like?
my story. I will say that, like you said, with the bridge and what we'll talk about that later, but with, you know, building a relationship with my body at a greater capacity has allowed that to happen outside, getting outside. Now, do I wake up sometimes and I'm like, "Ugh, how are we gonna do this today?" Yes, but those trees, they like, I don't know, they just grab you with their energetic arms and they're like, "Here, let me charge you up."
I love that. Yes, I do know that how much you love nature. I wanna dive into that too, because we
Yeah.
definitely we share that in common. Okay, so like we mentioned, we met at this amazing workshop called the Bridge Experience. I would love to hear, Camden, what brought you to the Bridge Experience, and if you can kinda like, in a nutshell, for anyone listening that has never been to the Bridge Experience, never heard of it, like, how would you explain it to them?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I have been watching P and Alexi for years, maybe even a decade now. It's been a very long time. I'm not sure if it's been a decade, but it's been a long time. And I've just loved them to the moon and back. And I just had never paid to be in any of their rooms. I never did any of their programs. I never did any of the paid opportunities. I did all of their free ones. And then I saw that they were doing bridge, and it was during a time where I had a lot of time on my hands.
Mhm.
And it was like a spirit nudge of what are you waiting for? You're a yes to these humans. What is the point in not saying yes? And I had already been feeling into the need for the body to be coming into more of my work. I'm still, thank you, Spirit. I'm still so all about spirit. But up until Bridge, body was just something that I had been reading in books and nervous system in the books and somatics in the books. And the Bridge was the opportunity for me to jump in and actually let my body heal and
Mhm.
for me to see the power of my body and feel the magic of my body. I didn't know that going in. I knew that it was embodied work, which meant the body would be included. But to up the bridge in a nutshell, just put a pretty bow on it. I would say that if you are in the personal development world and you actually want to see a transformation in your life, this room is a room you need to get in. There's nothing like it. Up until this point, there is nobody that I have seen that have been in a work of an integrity where it's mind, body, emotions, all of it
Mhm.
brought in and spirit. They talk about spirit. They talk about the power of spirit.
Mhm.
And I had known that truth, right? Like I intellectually knew the truth of what the bridge room was all about, but I hadn't ever experienced it. And I think that's where a lot of people are, right? Like this idea of knowing it, intellectualizing it, but never really feeling it in their body. It's going to kick your ass, right? Because,
In the
right?
best way possible, but it is gonna
Yes.
sting. So true.
Yes, and I remember, my one of my coaches, his name was Seth, and I walked up to Seth on the first day, and I was like, "I don't know why, but I'm so excited to get my shit rocked. I am so excited." And this is the first day of the bridge, right? And then we did bridge extreme, which is the bridge is, a cup of tea.
Yeah, you need the bridge to get your tuition. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I would just say if you want true transformation, that's the room you gotta be in. Like,
Yeah.
actual, tangible, you can see it, you can feel it, you walk around, other people see it, other people feel it.
Mhm.
I remember I came back from the bridge, and I was serving at a restaurant at the time, and the owner's husband walked up to me and goes, "Camden, you just look like you're taller, you just look,"
Mhm.
and that's the length and the width and the depth that they talk about in the room. That was the first validation. That was the first person really that knew that I don't even know if he knew I had gone, but the first person that had said that and, like,
Mhm.
really showed that, like, people notice.
Yeah,
People see this.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, so much goodness there. I agree. When I got back, just actually, I don't know if you noticed this when you were looking in the mirror, but I saw a difference, like, in just my like, I was brighter, and I physically felt so much lighter, so it is always so amazing when someone else is picking up on that energy, and I remember sharing this in our, like, LBD group that as time went on, the way that when I'm out in public, I I receive, like, more smiles from people, and it's just a different receiving of me because there is that kind of energetic shift that comes from this embodied work. You said something I loved it. So I was so excited to get my shit rocked. Part of the reason why the big reason I too. So also for anybody listening that doesn't know, P and Alexi are Preston Smiles and Alexi Panos. Go check them out immediately. And I went into the bridge room because of a podcast that I watched with them, the Sacred Thomas podcast, the first episode. And similar to you, I had been following them for years and years and never really, kind of made the investment. The biggest, well, there's a lot of takeaways, but one of the biggest takeaways that I was just consistently taking in while watching was their shifts from the last time that I kind of had seen them within this, years I've been following. I was like, wow, these two humans have done a lot of work. And not only as individual, right? They've just expanded. And not only as individuals, but as a couple. And that's really where I was like, okay, because as you know, I'm calling in partnership. And they mentioned the bridge. And I was like, okay, well, they know something that I don't know. They have been through the ringer. They were very honest about the very real challenges they had. And I was like, okay. And I just love the idea of it being a space where both men and women were together. Cause again, it's like you can only know what you know based on your own experience. And if ultimately we're all operating in this world together, yes, go do women's circles. Yes, go do the work with your sisters. But man, have to like, we need these conversations and these moments within ourselves. Otherwise, we're just going to stay in our silos and it's just going to continue, what happens is just going to continue cycle within myself and also like
Yes.
as the collective, right? So really quickly, when I got into that room, what also clicked in was, how tired we can get from just our shit. Like, even though, it's just like, man, am I tired of myself? Am I
Mm.
tired of just like, and not in a, and I think one of the greatest shifts that comes from a space like the bridge and beyond is removal of the judgment.
Mm.
Right?
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
like, how can we get curious and connected to not just here, right? Because it's like, I don't know about you, but I also walked into that room like, yeah, I know my shit. Like, I am aware who I am. I know my mom. I know my dad. I know all the things. But there was still this like thing that I was butting up against in terms of just relationship and just getting to where I want to go. And that was like where I was just so, I'm like, but why, if I know it, why can't I fix it?
Yes. God, yes.
So is
Yes.
so that room and that workshop really was such a healing space and open space, right? For that kind of deep work that we necessarily don't get the opportunity to do in the everyday. And I think too, part of what I really admired about the bridge, and we can't get too into the details because it's secret, secret, secret.
Yes.
Because you gotta experience it yourself. But I just always kind of appreciated the pullback to real life, right? Because when you were in workshops like that, you're getting like a very concentrated dose of, experimentation,
Yes.
which can feel really amazing because you're in the room, you kind of get lost in the sauce a little bit of just how amazing it all feels, and then it's like, but that is it is very real, but then you got to go back into real life, right? Real life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just very much always appreciated how P, Lexi, and all the coaches really helped us draw the line from like where we were in that room to how this is going to kind of like connect to real life, right? And they always kind of grounded back like this all feels really great right now, but in 2 days you're going to go back home and that's when the real work begins. I'm curious, when you did kind of dive back into real life,
Mhm.
what was that initiation like for you?
Yeah. When I came back into real life, right? Like lifing and now knowing that like, hey, we get to decide how we life. I recognized that I had so much grief that I had not moved, even though I thought that I had, and I was holding on to a lot of other people's grief as well. And so it was so much grace for myself to allow myself to actually feel it and not just say, okay, that workshop happened at the bridge. I moved some grief. I allowed some energy to move. I did what my body needed to do in that room, but to actually come back and let the grief move, let myself go there, let myself feel that anger, right? And that was a mental game for me. Alexi often will talk about being in your dignity. And we
Mm,
talked about this in LBD, right? About this, the
mhm,
definition of dignity and then the stereotype of dignity in society. In society, from what my experience was that it was get yourself together, hold it together, stand strong, don't let yourself fall into those emotions. And dignity actually is, hey, I can hold myself and feel all of this emotion. I'm not wrong. And it was that grace for what my mind was doing and for what my body needed me to do. It was like a cork had been on that you popped, and oh, yes, thumbs up. And
the magic that Camden just brought. Look how much power she has. That was amazing.
I love it. But yeah, it was like this cork had been popped. And I could put the cork back in. I could have very easily put the cork back in and went back to not having the conversations that were really difficult and are still very difficult, right? Not and when I say difficult, I mean just uncomfortable for all
Mhm.
parties involved. That's a better word. Thank you, sir. It's not difficult, it's just uncomfortable. And I actually had a lot of energy after I let myself feel that grief. But then I was really high, and then the grief came back in. And then to have that grace and to have that body wisdom and trust between my spirit, the grief that was in my body from
Mhm.
could be this lifetime, could be past lifetimes, it could be the ancestors' grief that's held in the DNA that they didn't release, that they knew I would release in this lifetime, right? Like, and disconnecting from that story, I'm gonna say privileged to have a mind that things come very easily to. I hear and understand things very quickly, but to integrate that into the body, which is what the bridge really supported with, is that trust had to be continued to be built. And you had said before you went into bridge, right? The reason you hadn't gone in was because like life was lifing, right? And like it was a constant deciding, okay, life is lifing. How am I choosing to life right now?
Mm.
How am I choosing to be in life right now? Because there is nothing that tells me I can't cry for 30 minutes in the morning and not go have the best day of my fucking life. Like there's nothing that tells me that can't happen. And I remember sitting, I think I was watching Harry Potter or something that really wasn't evoking emotion in my body, but all this like wave of grief came over me. And it was the most joyous feeling cry I have ever had, and that was only possible because I was having that grace, because I wasn't
Mm.
letting my mind win, because I was thank you, Spirit. And Spirit's like, what you were doing is you were having a beginner's mindset, right? And I always understood intellectually the value of a beginner's mindset in everything, but I finally got it here after Bridge.
Mm.
That's what it was like. That's what it was.
Locked it in mind, body, and
Yes.
soul. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love how you mentioned, it's not about never having discomfort again, right? I appreciated that so much about Bridge, Extreme, P, Lexi, the groom, is that the very real understanding is like, we're supposed to be like we're human beings. You're going to get uncomfortable. It's not about becoming this perfect thing. That underlying like perfection that's just like so insidious. And I was just talking to a friend Monica on the podcast about it yesterday in terms of how we can understand things and logic ourselves to oblivion, right? But inevitably we have this top down, we have this neck up, and then you have neck down. And the majority of us are really cool with like neck up, but we missing this kind of body piece, and we have to remember that yes, we are humans, but we're also animals. So we have this built-in, response. If you watch animals in the wild, how they deal with trauma or any sort of, fear or any sort of, oh my God, what's that word? What's that word? When like something's no, not impending doom, a threat.
Threat. Yes,
Threat.
yes. I was like, spontaneous.
Any sort of threat, what happens is you'll see them, they'll experience the moment, and then they'll shake. They don't have that prefrontal cortex that we do where we try to think ourselves out of it or try to rationalize it, which does help to keep us safe, but inevitably, what happens is that if we don't close that loop, if we don't release that, it just gets stored and stored and stored and stored in the body, and that nervous system response will continue to, like, constrict, and will kinda keep it going and storing it, storing it, and storing it until, that time when we just can't do it anymore. I agree, like, you got it, the capacity really comes from not trying to perfect it. It comes from feeling it and recognizing, giving yourself self the permission to let it be ugly and let it be just like, because there's actually just so much beauty that comes from that just pain and grief and all of it. So I love that. Okay, let's double back a little. One of the things that I picked up on right away when I met you, Camden, number one, it was you do this light and this energy. Like you are
Mm,
connected to the greater in a very deep way. And it's felt.
mm.
So and you've already and since we've been going, you've said like, "Thank you, spirit." And I know exactly what that is, but I'd love for anyone listening for you to share just a little bit about yourself, kind of what you do and within that, how you have kind of come to know, cultivate, and really, honor this alignment that you have to spirit, universe, God, whatever it is that we want to use in that.
Yeah, yeah. I first just wanna, like, thank you for acknowledging that and acknowledging the truth of what God knows to be, and that's a beautiful thing that I think is one thing that you are amazing at, is you always validate what you see, and that's God operating through you. So that is just
Thank
I love that.
you.
I have not always known that my connection to God, spirit, the universe, source, there's so many words that are used, and I actually use them interchangeably when I'm having a communication verbally with God or spirit, it's spirit. When I'm talking to God just on my own and just listening and not actually talking back, it's God, right? So there's so many nuances, I guess you would say, to the experience, but I didn't always know. But the way that I moved and my actions that I took and the way that I spoke to people was always in that connection, right? That connection was there. As a young child, my mom used to tell me that I would just sit and tell stories, like almost elder-like stories of like things that a 3 or 4-year-old should not know, right? And I know now that I was channeling, and that is a gift that I turned off somewhere along my path, and I stopped knowing my connection. It was there, but I didn't know it. And in my early 20s, I experienced a what a lot of people would call a dark night of the soul,
Mm.
right? It was just a sequence of events. I'm a Scorpio rising and a Scorpio Venus. And so, like, my life has shown that. I'll just say that. And it was a sequence of events that led to me actually attaching onto a depression spirit.
Mm.
And I'll just give the sequence because spirit's like, go there. Go there with people. I am gonna give a trigger warning for sexual
Mhm.
misconduct here. I was sexually assaulted on the 1st of the year by somebody that I considered one of my best friends and then ostracized, by that group of friends for speaking that truth. And shortly after, I lost my grandma, who was like a second mother. And then I lost my grandpa a couple months later. And then a relationship that I thought was the relationship ended. And so it was just boom, 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 boom within those moments. And I actually came back to God through darkness. And I had always spoken to God. Like I'd pray for other people.
Mm,
I would pray to God for the safety of others, for the
mm,
health of others, for the life of other people to experience what they desire, but I never did it for myself. And I recognized that through darkness with this depression spirit, I was hearing dark spirits,
mm,
right? I would hear spirits that operated in the underworld, which we love, and we know that they will go back to the light at some point. But they would tell me things like, if you don't do this, then you will be torn apart in front of your family and they'll have to witness it. And intellectually, I knew that that wasn't true, and they'd want me to do things that would harm other people, and I chose not to do that because I was staying true to who I am, right? And through that, I was actually connected to back to a friend that I met in 6th grade at church camp, and she had been doing energy and spirit work, and I was just talking to her about it, and she provided me tools and resources to understand what was going on, and it was like the darkness allowed me to see the power of the light.
mm,
And it was like, I'm so grateful for those moments in life. Everything changed for me in those moments. Who people knew me to be changed through those experiences over that 6 months. And I'm so fucking grateful for the darkest, most gut-wrenching, like, yeah, the grief, wow. The grief that I did not allow myself to feel
mm.
during those times is what came forward during Bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that just landed. But back to, spirit and how I was connecting to spirit is I continued to lean on love. I continued to lean on truth of what I knew an unconditionally loving God was, and I would just talk to God, and I clearly heard God. I clearly heard spirit, and I just thought that that is the way that everyone operated. I trusted it, right? I heard underworld beings. I knew what they were. I still hear them, right? Like, if you can hear spirits of the light, you can hear spirits of the darkness. And it's one of those things that trust was never something that I didn't have with spirit, right? It was something that was always there. And because of that, that's how the relationship evolved. And every single day, I would argue to say, even though I'm in public education now, I teach 4th grade and I talk to a lot of kids and a lot of adults throughout the day, I still believe that I talk to spirit more than I do humans,
Mm.
which is dope. And that's where the bridge really supported in bringing the body into that experience. A lot of people will call a spiritual practice a practice, but it really is, are you being that person? Are you living that life? Or are you just practicing it? Like that is where I would say
Ooh.
that, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
you know,
Say more on that, Camden. Say more on that.
yeah. So are you actually, so a lot of people have like their morning routine, right? They'll wake up and they'll be like, okay, I'm going to pull a, I don't have my oracle cards here, but I'm going to pull an oracle card and I'm going to see what spirit has to say for my day. And then they'll just go into their day and
Mm,
forget about the oracle card and forget about the morning routine. And that has been something that is the difference between a practice and actually living it. Walking throughout the day, maybe having something that is devastating and that moment being thrown into your life and being able to talk to spirit about it and be like, okay, spirit, what do I actually need to know about this? Not bypassing and knowing that, like, this fucking sucks right now. Like, but spirit, what do you need me to hold on to? And going back to like the insidious perfection spirit that is just like latching onto so many people right now. If you allow yourself to go there, you can't hear spirit. Right? You
mm,
you can't hear spirit if you're trying to be perfect. And it's one of those like, hey, you know what? I didn't handle that situation with all of the love that I could have. Hey, I didn't stay regulated during that conversation and I was reactionary. Or I did go into lack. I did go into doubt. I did let a spirit of fear lead my energy there instead of the unconditionally loving energy of my ancestors. But I think that's the living aspect of it, right? Like it's not something I practice in order to receive. It's not something I do in order to pull back into my life. It's who you are. Yeah, it's who you be. And yeah, it's just all so connected, and once you are it and you be it, you can't not see that connection, right? Like, it's like
yes.
yeah,
150,000, 25.5%.
yeah,
You are there once you do reach that point where you actually are in alignment with spirit with that kind of higher voice, which is also, it's interesting because it's like the higher voice, but it's actually kind of it's more of like that whisper because that voice is not super loud, right? Versus if I'm tracking correctly with you, that more, spirit of the dark, those tend to be like super loud. Those are like in your face voices. But yes, once you get to a place where you've had those synchronous moments where you're like, "Oh, that card was pulled this morning, and then I just got in my car and that song came on the radio." Or if you're aware enough and open enough to having those moments, then you really start to recognize, "Oh, okay, no, like there's there's a connectivity here. There's an energy. There's tethers to like all of us and all living things." And it's, and then it starts to feel like so much sometimes when you're like, "Oh, this is a lot." But
Yeah.
yeah, but once you know, you can't unknow, which I love. Okay, a couple things. One, I just wanna really honor you for a moment, Camden, and just sharing your vulnerability so openly and honestly, so I just wanna take a minute and just really I just say, "I appreciate you, I see you, and I just love you so much." Um, and I just think that what you shared is just a, brilliant example of just how the resiliency of what it and the resilience of the human spirit and just how capable we are. And the other thing that just kind of drops in is just keep going. Like just keep going.
Yeah.
So I very much honor and very much appreciate you sharing that. And I have no doubt that you sharing that has hit home with many people who are listening.
Yeah.
And I really this idea of practicing or living it. Okay, so it sounds like and I the one of the ways that you do this is by asking questions. So, okay, so I'd love for you to speak on more of that because this is a theme that came up with my friend Monica yesterday too. And there's a curiosity component of that, right? So now I'm starting to get that beginner's mindset piece of what you were saying before, right? So for someone out there, because I'll speak for myself. There have been many years in the past, especially in my 20s, where I would have a morning routine and it would feel good, but there was things I was doing that really this was also at a time when I was very much in a perfectionist mindset. So I was just doing, doing, doing to do because I thought like, okay, I'm gonna go journal and I'm gonna do this because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So for someone who might be in this space where they have a practice and or maybe it feels good, but they're not yet making that kind of it's just a practice and they're having a hard time or they just don't know what they don't know, right? How to
Yeah.
kind of draw it from practice to living. What are some helpful kind of tools, questions that you use to make that line for yourself?
Yeah. What's really alive right now is really being so cognitively disciplined of seeing I know that people say that if I journal, then my energy or my vibration is going to rise and then I'm going to feel better, right? And anywhere, what I have found in my practice of becoming me, right, is anytime that I was doing something as a means to an end to get somewhere, I was out of integrity. I wasn't actually letting spirit lead. And I know some people operate in more of a structured space more productively, and some people operate in more of a flow space. And so to say that this is the one thing that you need to do, like you need to not have a routine and instead allow the morning to guide you. Yes, for some people, that's super powerful and super supportive. And for other people, like even for myself, Spirit's like for you, both depending on the day is
Yes.
supportive.
Yes.
And yeah, it's I would say that in order when you're taking that from that practice space, there's so much talk. This is just dropping in, and so I'm just going to let spirit flow here. There's so much talk on authenticity online, right? There's so much talk, but what people talk about is how to be authentic. Like and that's the polar opposite of authenticity, right? In order to be authentic, you have to do this. You have to let your energy be seen and like there are some very stoic people that are authentic to
Authentic.
that. Yes. And they're not out having, sacred rage and bashing sticks on the ground. And that's beautiful. And that's not authentic to them. And so anytime that you're following someone else's, this is what means what authenticity means, that's not the being. You're in the practice. Right. And
Mm,
sometimes, and I'm not bashing the practice of it, right? It took having those morning routines. It took
mm.
being a person that followed the track of somebody that I still very much admire and find a lot of wisdom, excuse me, and value in. And I was following their authentic path. I wasn't listening to me.
Mm.
And it's Spirit, what are some questions that you know to be true for this? Yeah, where am I trying to fit into authenticity? What practice am I doing right now that is trying to fit in that? Right? And not everybody may have seen this, but there's a understanding in science that authenticity is actually the highest vibration on earth right now. It's even higher than love.
Really?
And yeah, it's wildly interesting. And what
I can kinda see that. I can kinda see how,
yeah,
love is, like, the stepping stone to, like, almost, like, radical
fullness.
self-love and love for all. That's, like, the most authentic human. I can see that. Okay. Wow, that's
Yeah,
interesting. Okay.
yeah, and, like, my understanding is that it's the being of all of it, right? Like,
Mm,
when you're authentic, you can
mm,
be the vibration of anger, you can be the vibration of love, you can be the vibration of joy, and it doesn't change
you.
you. Yes, and it's just to bring it back to your question of just how to step into it. Anytime that you're questioning yourself, know that that is an underworld being if it's happening in the mind. If you're feeling it and you're just like, "Meh, this ain't it," your body's telling you something. Your
Mm,
body has so much wisdom. And underworld spirit has such, because of what society has named it, that it has such a scary context. And all an underworld spirit is it's a spirit that hasn't yet chosen to claim the unconditional love that source has for it. And so it's continuing the vibration
mhm,
through either hearing, feeling, or seeing
mm.
that they experienced in their lifetime here on earth.
So would you also categorize that as, like, ego? Is that another way to say that?
Yeah, so your ego is a this is how I would categorize ego. Your ego is a tool that God provided you to
Mhm.
either feed with the light or feed with the
Mm,
darkness. And we have been programmed through society to feed it with darkness
mm.
and to align the ego with darkness just way above with the light, right? And so training the ego to know your power,
Yep.
training the without it being a superiority thing,
Yeah.
right? You can know your power and not think you're better than anybody because you know their power
That's a
too.
big one. That's a big one.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And so
Yeah.
underworld beings, they're sneaky, right? They have got the matrix figured out. And when I say the matrix, all I mean is the energy that's happening around us all of the time. That's all I mean by the matrix. It's not a new age term in my world. This is where the energy's operating right now, and that's what we're hearing, right? And I'm sure that every single one of us listening or speaking right now is feeling the energy
Mhm.
of the
Absolutely.
matrix.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's an understanding of, hey, these underworld beings, they don't serve unconditional love, but that doesn't mean that I don't love them,
Mhm.
right? And I'm not judging them or making them wrong for their experience, right? We just have these amazing, wonderful bodies, and that is what separates us from them. Like, that's it. Yeah. Yeah.
Whenever I talk to you, Camden, I'm like, "Oh, just how magical is it to be a human being?" Every time I talk to you, I'm like, "Oh,
Yes.
you just reinvigorate my belief of just the magic of what it is to be human." Okay. So, one thing that I've been kind of noodling on in and out for a while now, actually, is competition and how interesting, this idea of competition is in relation to kind of what in kind of the through line to what you've been talking about too, right? Because there is this, at least for me, the older I get, competition really just becomes more about like me, right? So it's like, how can I continually start improve within the field that I'm playing? And when put into an environment where I am playing against others, for those that are just listening to this, I just did air quotes around playing. It's never about my better. It's just what is my magic and how can I m make that magic as most valuable, as most seen, as most felt to whoever, right? And whether it's, you're applying for whether I'm applying for a promotion or whatever it might be. Knowing too that some days I'm gonna be able to do that a lot better than others and just be okay with all of it. And so would love to hear your perspective on that. And the other thing that I just want to kind of point out of what you were saying, which I really appreciated, was the practice of becoming me. I wrote an email to a group coaching program that I just wrapped up, and the thematic of it was this idea of there's no arriving. We continue to kind of hang our hats and coats on this like end point. And even with business, if you actually are really paying attention, you can reach the end of the year and reach that goal, but you're not done. Like
Yes.
we never arrive. So it's
Yeah.
like if we can, but it's like such this mind I'm gonna say it, is
Yes.
mind fuck that
Yes.
we have been drilled that there is this, like, "I've arrived." Like, no, you
Yes.
arrived actually the second that you, like, came out of the Mom, like, here you are, like, that was your arrival. Now that's your arrival, and now it's like now you get to, like, become and live and I've been playing too with this idea of, to your point, we like a list, the top 5 ways to get to enlightenment. And that's just
Yes.
not because like like step 1 is like let it go. Well, first of all, what? And second of all, I'm assuming that for one step has about 25 baked in, right? So it's like
Yes.
this very marketable way to get people in. But then I just feel like there is that kind of disservice that sometimes we do to one another because someone's entering in feeling like, oh, okay, all I have to do is like these things. But then they enter into it and they're like, but wait a minute, this is more than just these 5 things. And it's not a linear progress because it's like this, right? It's cycles and circles is what I've been kind of playing with. So, but I would love your thoughts on the competition piece. Like, I'd love to kind of hear your standpoint on competition and how you play in that and, maybe in how you work with clients in it.
Yeah, the energy of competition will always, from my experience up until this point, will always reflect a place where you don't think you're doing enough,
Mm.
where you think that, and when we don't think we're doing enough, that's another way of saying unworthy, lacking this worthiness of receiving whatever it is that we want to receive, whether it's clients, whether it's that promotion, whether it's a new job, whether it's a new boyfriend,
Mhm.
a new partner or wife, or, like
Yeah.
whichever direction, if you're a man or a woman or a woman or a man, it doesn't matter. The idea of having this unworthiness always comes back to talking to spirit of spirit, where am I not edifying myself for what you actually see?
Mm.
Because I don't believe that the universe tests us. I do, however, believe that the universe provides us with opportunities to evolve.
Ooh,
And
I love that, Camden. Yeah.
yeah, because like, to be testing somebody, it's like, "Are you meeting the standard?" I don't think that God has a standard
Mm.
for us to meet. Like,
That's so good.
yes.
Yes.
It's funny
Mm.
because Spirit's just channeling through me right now, and it's, like, truths that I know, but every time I hear it, I'm like, "Yes." Like,
Yeah.
"Yes." It's
So
so good.
good. Love it.
Yeah, and so when we go there, it's never about the other person. It's
Yeah.
never about, like, whether they get it or I get it or, the partner or not. It's always about where am I truly believing that I'm not worthy of it.
Mhm.
And there are times that spirit will deny you things that you think you desire because they know that there are greater opportunities. You still have the opportunity to take the denied thing from spirit. Right? Like, we have this free will where we can go loop back around and be like, "Nope, this is actually what I wanted." So, no thanks, spirit. However, spirit will always, and thank you, if we are willing to hear the truth, spirit will tell us the truth.
Mm.
But it comes down to humility, and it comes down to how humble can we be with ourselves. Of yeah, like, how much am I willing to hear from spirit about where I'm not living up to the expectation that I've set for myself?
Don't okay, so this is so good. I also believe personally for myself that
Yeah.
spirit's gonna talk to you in as many ways as they can to help
Yes.
you take the action or go left when you're going to go right. They're going to do everything. It's going to do everything that it can, right? So sometimes it's going to be a thought. Sometimes it's going to
Yes.
manifest in the body. Sometimes it's going to be an injury, anxiety, overwhelm. These are all ways that spirit is communicating with you. So one thing that I studied recently is in shamanic cultures how overwhelm is actually believed to be essentially like this your soul is not connected, right? So you've become disconnected to your soul. And within shamanic communities they look at anybody who is overwhelmed as like a community to heal. Like it's a
Yes.
big deal. It's not this like what we do, whether inadvertent, whether consciously or not.
Right.
We've normalized it, right? We're all overwhelmed. It's just like
Yes.
par for the course. No.
No.
Yeah, yes, we are all
Yes.
overwhelmed, and that doesn't make it normal. That is spirit trying to work through you to help you wake up, for lack of a better word, right? There's this I don't know if you've ever seen it. Have you ever seen Jim Carrey has a there's a video out, it's like a clip, a little snippet from an interview that he did, and he talks about, well, he talks about his journey very a lot, but how specifically the difference that he's come to know between, like, depression and sadness,
I
and
haven't seen it.
okay, I'll send it to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But how sadness is, this kind of just temporary state based on experience or just what you are experiencing, right? So like I'd lost a loved one or I didn't get the promotion or so that you feel sad about it.
Right.
Whereas depression, what he has come to know it based on his own mentors and teachings is this your soul's desire for deep rest. And it's a state where you have not consciously, but over time, your soul is saying, I'm no longer wanting, willing to be this character that we're
Yes.
being. To then circle back, it's your body's way of saying, we need to get more in alignment with that authentic, that highest. Can we start kind of climbing that ladder in a different way? And I just thought that was so beautiful because one, I've had bouts of moments of where I've been depressed and I have family members who deal with depression and there is this overall like heaviness that can come with it. But what I felt with just that understanding and that interpretation of your body saying, I just need some deep rest from what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
Number one, there's just something beautiful about the word rest, just
Yes.
in and of itself. Exactly, straight to the heart. And then there's just hope
Yes.
with it, which I think is
Yes.
so important because I think that sometimes gets lost in the sauce of when we are maybe typically dealing with something like depression.
Admire Jim Carrey, and
Mhm,
he is so wise. He's known as, this comedian, but he has so much wisdom
mhm,
that I just yes. And I think the beautiful thing about so many people choosing to speak what they know and understand is they say things in a way that lands for this group
mm,
of people. And then somebody else says something that is giving the same opportunity. I believe religion does this, right? They reach people where they need to be reached.
mm. Yeah,
And yeah, and with the soul, I've always seen the soul as my inner child, right? Like they're the pure one. They're the one that knows. And throughout life, we've put on these hats and we've said, "Nope, inner child, you can't be this because, I need to get straight A's or I need to show up to softball practice and practice 5 days a week for a sport that I don't really love, but that'll make my parents
yeah.
happy." Right? Like all of these things, we put these hats on, and our soul's like, hey, I'm still here to experience all the amazing things that this life has to offer us. When you're ready, I'm ready. But your body is, like you said, your body is just, it's triggering to you that if a person's ever experienced depression, they know that it's not the mind, it's the body, right?
Mm,
The body
the
is,
fatigue and the exhaustion and the
yes.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yes, and, like,
So
neuroscience has showed us that all of the signals we get throughout the day, I believe, I might be saying the wrong percentage of it's either 60 or 70% is body to brain. The rest is brain to body. So, like, 30% is brain to body. Depression is trying to tell our brain, and our brain is taking those chemicals and create it it's
yep,
in my opinion, it's misunderstood as of right now. I think that the understanding is coming alive, and I say yes to it. It does. This entire conversation is gonna come back to authenticity, isn't it? It always comes back to, are you allowing that authentic energy to flow, or are you putting a stop on it?
yep,
Yeah.
yep, 100%.
Yeah.
I also wanna just kind of pause here and say, for anyone listening, this is not, again, a straight line,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So, speaking for myself, I spent so many years in my 20s and, like, half of my 30s just caught in that perfectionist loop, over exercising, like just not a healthy relationship with my body, all very much focused on what I thought I had to do, be, and achieve in order to be enough. And it wasn't, I mean, so one of the things, and I've spoken to this a lot, one of the things that really helped me over time was dance, was coming because dance brought me back into my body.
Yes. Yes.
It gave me an outlet to move and express energy that didn't even know. Like, I mean, I knew it was there, but I did not have the vocabulary or the wherewithal to put like the anxiety that I was feeling into a translation of energetic, whatever. That just I was wasn't there. I wasn't there.
Right.
But, dance was one of the big things that really helped me, and then and through that space that over time dance opened, I then was able to just start to pay more attention, and it was little things, like, I remember all of a sudden I was watching reality TV one day, and literally that spirit was like, "Shut it off. Shut it down." And I shut it off, I never put it back. I haven't, like, put a TV on. I'll watch Netflix every night, but I haven't done it in years. And just in that, more space, right? Because when we are I'll speak for myself, when I was just even though I wasn't necessarily always watching it, it's noise. We're still intaking. There's still an energetic charge to it. And
Yes.
going back to what we were saying too, and you were saying how much you love nature. We are nature.
Yes.
We are energy. And I was in the city the other day, New York City, and had just written this exercise for my coaching program around expression and self-expression, and the idea that we're always communicating, we're always expressing ourselves, whether or not words are coming out of our mouths or not.
Yes.
And I just sat and I was like watching people, just watching people. And I was purposely tuning in a lot more to it all. But man, how much I was just picking up on in terms of the weight that some people were carrying, the relationship dynamics to those that they were walking with. It was so fascinating and just a great reminder that it's all energy.
Yes.
It's all energy, right? And the more that we can kind of understand that and recognize that that energy is a part of our nature because we come from nature.
Yeah.
This is always kind of blows my mind. Okay, yes, we sperm and egg are needed for this humanness. However, you grow as a result of the food that your mother eats. Therefore,
Yes.
you are food.
Yes. Oh, I love that.
The
Yes.
minerals, the nutrients, everything. And where does the food come from? The ground. It's all in us, which is why when we go outside in nature, research is so clear on this. We feel like this deep rooted exhale and acceptance and belonging because it is who the fuck we are. I just love that.
Mm.
It's so, so magical, right?
It
I
is.
mean, it's just so magical.
Yes, and
Okay.
it's a constant reminder,
Yes.
right? Like, we know this, and every time we go outside, it's that reminder, and sometimes that reminder's needed again and again. Like you said, it's not linear. There are times that I get caught up in the scroll, I get caught up in the drama. Guess what? I go outside,
There it
and I just
is.
let myself
Yes.
observe it, and I'm like, "Got it."
100%. Okay.
Yeah.
Camden, talk about what you do with your coaching and how you help people become the most magical human beings that they can be.
Yeah, I explain it as body up, spirit led, divine leadership
Yep.
and embodiment. And when I say leadership, I don't mean that you have to lead a movement. I don't mean that you have to lead a room. I mean self leadership. And so it starts with the body, building your relationship with the body. I use what spirit downloaded to me as the 4 body code method, which is the bodies of your body, your physical vessel, the body of your emotions, the body of your mind, and spirit. And so using the codes that all four, the wisdom that all four provide, you begin to recognize and step into your authentic leadership. You begin to step into, and whether it is that you desire to make millions of dollars in this lifetime, or you desire to call in a life partner, or you desire to just be happy, because that is something that I think is talked about a lot, like choose to be happy, but you've got to know how to choose to be happy, right? And that comes with building a greater relationship with spirit through your body, then your emotions, then your mind, and then their spirit. And I know that everybody has the opportunity to have a relationship with spirit where that's who they be. Not that they're practicing talking to spirit or they're praying, but their life is a prayer. That it's
Mhm.
just who they be, and they're walking and they're living the highest quality life that is for them, right? And throughout the coaching, some of it is energy healing. I do a lot of energy healing where I'm able to go in and I can channel your body, I can channel your mind, I can channel your emotions and go in there and see the codes that are operating, right? Maybe see this past life loop that is happening in your body, in your nervous system, that consciously, of course, we're not aware of it. Our conscious can only handle so
So
much,
much.
right? Yes, before we're out of this consciousness. And that is not where we'd like to go. And that's what some people would call like spiritual psychosis, right? Going
Mm.
out of this consciousness and not being grounded. With that, I am not here to be the healer. I'm not here to be the one that goes in and shifts the energy. That's just a tool in my toolbox that supports with the four body code method to open up those energies, to not need it to be as hard as what some people believe evolution has to be,
Mm.
right? And it's an experience of we come in and we build the relationship. And because you talked about shamanic practices and like the traditions and the teachings, I believe, which comes from shamanic practices, that everything is a relationship to everything. So your relationship to your body, your relationship to your emotions. It
Yes.
yes,
We are in relationship
yes.
with everything. It's all relationship.
Everything.
Yes.
Yes, and are is that relationship rooted in love and groundedness and what like, the purity of what you actually are, which allows you to be happy and have happiness in the moments that maybe you're not living the life that you desire. Like you, Linda, I am calling in partnership, right? I am calling in greater amounts of financial support, right? That I know that I'm ready to do greater supportive things for the world with. How can I be happy right now?
Mm.
How can I live a high quality life no matter what the outside world looks like? And for me, it is spirit led, right? There are some embodiment practices that aren't so much spirit, but spirit is a part of all of it. And building a relationship with your ancestors, building a relationship with your spirit team, supporting people in being and not just practicing life is what the four body code method really does. Is it doesn't leave a single part of you out. It's all of you, including your galactic team, which is not something that I always highlight, but I love to communicate with the beings that are outside of the human coding and actually come from different star systems, and most people on this earth do. So that's a little different experience than the embodiment piece, but it's when you're open to it, it's there for you.
Okay. Well, first of all, I think I need to do the four body code. Second of all, the other thing is, I love what you said about. Well, to me, it sounds like overall you're bringing people back home.
Mhm.
Like you really are
Yes.
helping your clients, men, women of all ages. I'm assuming come
Yes.
back home to themselves to really discover all that they are,
Yes.
all the different layers. I have so many questions on different star systems. That might be like a podcast in and of itself.
Yeah.
And this idea that we get to choose. I think what we get caught up in, I'll speak for myself, is that the process can feel so like you can see so like every day I close my eyes and I can see like it's vivid where I'm going, vivid. And then it's like, okay, I need to do XYZ in order to get there. And then you try to do XYZ every single day. I feel like I can't
Yes.
do XYZ every single day. So it's this understanding of consistent, like, practice and living in it to get to it, because it's not really about the
There.
thing,
Yes.
it's about who you be and who you become along the way, and inevitably, you you might get to that thing, or you might, at some point, pivot and say, "You know what? Actually, this feels right over there right now." Yeah, so I don't know if you wanna speak to anything on that in terms of, because I think that a lot of people out there, listening probably relate to, "Yeah, but how do I get to it?"
Right. And I will say I am still
Yeah.
playing with the energy of like my overachiever energy of like the do, 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 do.
Mhm.
I can do anything, trust me. Like, like I give me a task and I will figure out how to get it done. I think that comes with the generation we grew up in of like the strong woman era. And also, I grew up in Nebraska. You got to be resourceful in Nebraska. There's things that you learn, and with that, it's it's never about the doing, right? Within the 4 body code method, there are things that you might do, but your spirit team is doing so many things behind the scenes that if you're doing, you're not going to see
See
it.
it.
You're not going to catch it. And a part of really building that relationship with the spirit team, with your ancestors, with God or source, you have to step back from being the one that does it all. Because when you feel like you are the one that has to do it all, then it's an experience of, "I don't trust you to do it
Right.
for me."
Hear that. Hear that,
Yes.
ladies,
Yes.
gentlemen, and I'm hearing it too. That's a great reminder.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the entire 4 body code method is, yes, you're physically doing things, but it is never to get anywhere.
Mm,
We talk about your dreams, we talk about your desires. Yes, I teach you some really fucking awesome quantum physics ways to go into the quantum and have a module where you're viewing your life and you are playing with the quantum energies. That's the fun part. I don't want to say the fun part, spirit. That's the playful where your inner child gets to go in
yep.
and just, like, be the architect of it all. What you're doing in the 4 body code method is you are learning and unlearning the ways that you thought you had to do all of these things in order to, instead of just tuning in and building that relationship with your body, your emotions, your mind, and it all comes down to the relationship.
Mm,
And sometimes it's really uncomfortable. It's
mhm.
really uncomfortable to do something different than you
Different.
have ever done before.
Yes.
Yes. Like with the
Yeah.
we have so many similarities, Linda, like in the 20s where we would overwork out and we'd over diet and we in order to have this body, instead of being like, this is what the trend is right now of
Mm,
I should be eating an anti-inflammatory diet, which I'm not speaking against that. I think that's amazing and very important. But instead of leaning into the trend, you're listening to your body and this is a nuanced experience of 4 body code, but you will know what your body needs to eat. You will know if you're actually hungry or if you're just extremely dehydrated, right? Like and you won't question it. You won't have to be like, hey, chat, what's this symptom? You're just going to know. And
if you are tuned in, right? So
if you,
right, and this
yes,
is yeah, because I wholeheartedly agree, right? Because if you actually are paying attention, right, your body's
yes,
gonna tell you if something you eat is maybe there's a food sensitivity to it, right? But that's another kind of common thing that we kind of dismiss because it's so common. Gut issues
yes,
are so common. It becomes
yes,
like this normalization of things that are common, but no, and your body's all we'll kind of circle back. Your body's always trying to communicate with you. It's always telling you things. And it's
yes,
our job then to kind of tune in, listen, and then yeah, ask for help and have those conversations. But yeah,
yes.
sorry, I just wanted to kind of like point that out.
No, don't be sorry because that it's so important to know that and recognize that. And it's
It's your power. I think
that
it's like we are
exactly
so
it.
yeah, like that is our power.
You
And we
have the spirit of power.
yes,
Yeah.
it's like we all don't really recognize how powerful we are and just how magnificent this human ness everything in here this I mean to truly fathom what happens in here every single day is mind blowing.
Yes.
Like your mitochondria is more powerful than the sun. Times like we're talking like 6-digit numbers. It's
Yes.
wild. So you have more light power inside of your body than the sun gives to you every single day. Like
Yes.
that's your fucking power.
Yeah, and I will toot my horn here, toot toot. I
You.
would say one thing that I do really, really well with is I will have clients that will come in and they'll give me I always tell them, I'm like, "I don't need a huge story because your spirit team's communicating to me anyways, but tell me what you think I need to know,
Mm,
and then whatever questions you've got." And they'll say the answer to their question within it, and I will always say, "You know." because you just told me dot, 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 right? Now, what were you doing that created
Created.
the
Yeah.
mistrust
Oh, so good, so
in
good, so good.
yes, yeah, and what you already knew. You told me the answer already,
Yep,
and, okay, so now where did you not trust that?
yep.
And trusting gosh, it's so good. Trust and authenticity,
Mhm.
they're this. They have to go together. You've gotta trust your authenticity to be able to be in it.
And that requires trusting yourself, which also requires loving yourself.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It's all we said this at the very beginning of the podcast. It is all connected.
Mhm.
It's never separate. And so, I hear a lot of people in the embodiment world be like, mindset's bullshit. No,
Mm,
without the mindset, you can't get to embodiment.
yep.
You can't. And without embodiment, you can't live it. And because when I was in my greatest depressive states, I intellectually understood the positive mindset pieces. I intellectually got it, but
Mhm.
the body needed
Body.
me. The
So
body
true.
needed me.
So
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Camden, we could talk for
Ugh,
hours. You gotta come back,
I know.
clearly.
I know.
Alright, how can people find you, work with you, get in touch with you, all that jazz?
Yeah, right now, my friend Happy is actually creating a new website.
Okay,
So right
time out.
now,
You have a friend named
it's
Happy?
yes, yes, he is amazing.
Video me.
He yes,
That's amazing. I love it.
I'm gonna introduce you to
Please.
and just see what
No, I'm
happens. Yes,
yeah.
because he is
I wanna know
amazing.
Happy, clearly.
Yeah, he lives just outside of Nashville, just so you're aware.
Oh,
So if
yeah, for
Nashville's somewhere you
sure.
love.
Yeah. Yeah. Alright, sorry,
Yeah.
keep going. Okay, you're working with
No, yeah.
Happy's up-leveling your website.
Yes, he's up-leveling my website right now, and so you can find me on Instagram or TikTok. Camden Brianne Harlan is my tag. Camden Brianne Harlan,
Yep.
and Linda will put it in the
Yes,
show notes for
exactly.
spelling. And I have links in there through a Stan store where you can find everything we've got going on. I do have a membership called the Energy Hackers Club where it's a little less embodiment and really understanding the mastery of energy, because with embodiment comes that need of mastering energy. And so that's an opportunity as well, which is, in my opinion, that's why we're here on earth, right? Like, is to master that energy. And then if you want to take it further and live that energy, yeah, 4 body code method is where it's at, and so all of those opportunities there. I also have other one-on-one experiences that is more energy healing based if you love the idea of having a energetic massage, and it's more
Ooh,
than thank you, spirit. The spirit's like, "It ain't a massage, it's a quantum up leveling," but yeah, it's amazing, and we've got a lot of things that we're playing with the Spirit Optimizer by Shaman Durek. We're leaning into facilitation training with that and bringing that in, and the opportunity to lead with that movement. So it's Instagram and TikTok's where you're going to be able to find me the easiest, and then links through there.
amazing. Camden, I absolutely love you. Thank you so much for being here. We're gonna have you back, and you, me, and Jess are gonna start playing together, which I can't wait as well. So, thank you so much.
Yes. Yes. I love
I
you.
love you. Alright. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you next time.